Hello YouTube, or to anybody who's smart enough to watch this. I'm Marcus Townsend and I'm here with my episode 8 review of Power Rangers Megaforce. I hope none of you were too distressed by the fact that there wasn't an episode last week, but that's not my fault, blame Nickelodeon and Saban. But this one was called Robo Night. The episode revolved around the team on the school trip and they found this big footprint and also this power plant that had long been closed down, but still the sewage and the sort of pollution that it brought out was still causing damage, and it spawned these mutants underground that were now becoming the Rangers' enemy and were the problem for them. And the Rangers looked like they were at a complete loss until Robo Night came forward. In answer to last episode's question whereby if you could fight anybody with zero consequences, who would it be? The winner was Orlando Magic 1114 with his answer of Tommy from Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. Because as we've seen, that does not end well if you pick on this guy. I like this answer because it thought so in the box, which isn't a bad thing. I'm not insulting you or anything, mate, don't worry. But what I'm saying is I liked how you thought inside the box. The answers that you have to give don't necessarily have to be Power Rangers related, but it's just a nice caught me off guard, and that was the answer that made me laugh most. So well done. And this week's episode question is, if you could have one robot on your side from anywhere to help you fight in your 11th hour, who would it be? Mine personally, I'd choose either the Terminator or I'd choose that robot from Rocky 4. Yeah, because that one could just bring you a beer whilst you're fighting and it'd be mint. So I'm going to start with my bad points about this episode first. What really winds me up was some series of Power Rangers and Sentai and some kids shows in general. Why did they feel the need to ruin the surprise in the title? Like, I saw this in an episode of Sentai that I'm not going to ruin where it said blah 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 dies, and I'm like, now there is no point me watching that. I am not going to be shocked. I am planning to not get emotionally attached to this character. When I was a kid, I always found it a nice surprise when the 6th Ranger came along, but this was completely ruined. I was expecting it the entire time. The fight had no suspense because I knew that character was going to come forward. When we saw the bad guys in space looking at the screen at the two mutants, I had a major flashback. It looked like Babu and Squat from Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. Did anybody else get this vibe from them too? Just in that one image, when I actually saw them, they didn't look like it, but at a distance they did. Is it a rule within Power Rangers that every 10 years they have to have this forced stay green message? Not green as in the colour, but green as in the environment. Like in Power Rangers Wild Force we had this, where everyone's like, oh my god, they're damaging the environment. And I'm like, yeah, but to be honest, your production costs are probably also doing something for the environment. You're filming in New Zealand and then shipping it over to America, so therefore you can't really comment and make me feel bad for not being green. That's all the bad points I had really about this episode, and now I'm going to go on to my good ones. It was a really good touch seeing Noah and Emma talking on the field trip, and they were talking about how their lives have changed since being Power Rangers. That these aren't 5 just ordinary teenagers anymore. Their hobbies have had to change significantly, their lives have had to change significantly, they've all become closer. And we also saw that subtly in how Jake and Gia are also interacting more. I was thinking about it, and if you look at how they acted in the first episode to now, it is quite a jump. But it's never once felt forced. I never thought like, well, she hated him last episode, why does she like him now? At first she didn't give him the time of day, but slowly they have progressed towards one another, and that's a good touch that they should keep at. And as I said before, RoboCop came into this episode. Sorry, I mean Robo Night. If anybody could genuinely say that they weren't reminded of RoboCop if they already knew who he was, please tell me. He even talked like him, he had an entrance like him, he walked like him, he talked like him. What? Is there some copyright infringement that they can do now? His entrance was really cool. That's my Easter present off my mum, and I thought it'd be cool if he said I agree at the same time that I made a comment. Little Michelangelo. Yeah, his entrance was really cool. It showed him as a great formidable ally, which the Rangers always need as a 6th Ranger, but also it left a lot of mystery about him. At first you didn't know who he was, even though the title told you still didn't know anything about him. The fight beforehand, where the Rangers were just getting their asses handed to them, was also very enjoyable. It wasn't like last episode's where it had all these creepox battles, but still, that was the highlight of the season so far, so I can't really judge this on that, but it did lack what that had. Whoa, wow, wait. They still have this command centre set? Why have they not visited there at any point until now? Why are you telling me that after all the invasions, there has never been one moment where they had to go back to the command centre for any help? Why now? It was significant that Robo Night had come on the scene, but why? Why did that... What? Overall, this was another great episode. Quite a good streak so far. It had a few bad episodes in the middle, not bad, but not good. But now it's finally on the upward curve. Like I said, I enjoyed the last episode more, but this was still close behind it. The entire series as a whole still feels rushed, to be honest, but like I said, I know 20 episodes, and then they've got to start using Gokaiger footage. But this is only near enough 1/3 through the season, and already introducing a 6th ranger. I only really just got used to this lot of rangers. Like, how am I going to adjust to this in later episodes? The villains in this episode also were just so bland compared to Creepox, so that's sort of one thing that wasn't going well in its favour. But it was an interesting setup that these aren't the same monsters that we're seeing in the spaceship, that there's lots of different factions within this evil world that we've got, and evil space galaxy that we've got as well. That'll set it up really nicely when the Legend War stuff really does come in. But I have a point on that. Why is the Legend War in the credits when there's no reference to it at all since about I think it was episode 4, and even then they're just being 2 passing dreams that if you weren't looking for it, you wouldn't remember it. Why is this a thing in the intro when it's never in the show? To me, that should be counted as false advertisement. Overall, this got a 7.05, and I think that makes it my second best episode under episode 7. I'm really enjoying this series, and I'm glad that they're into another week off between next episode, as far as I know. And I hope you're having a good Easter as well. Comment below with your little review, and also what your answer to the question is, which, if you can't remember, is what robot would you have on your team if you could have any from any kind of fictional thing. And put you into success. Subscribe if you haven't already, and look at the links on the bottom. There's stuff there. All the best.